the early 1800s, one man looked at the greatest writer in the English language and decided he needed editing. Not for grammar, not for style, for decency. What he did next would strip Shakespeare of murder, madness, and desire, and somehow his name would end up in the dictionary forever as a word for censorship itself. Thomas Bowdler was born in England in 1754, trained as a physician, and spent much of his life moving through polite, respectable society, the kind of world where certain words simply weren't said out loud, especially not in front of women and children. And Bowdler had a problem. He loved reading Shakespeare aloud to his family, but Shakespeare, as it turns out, is full of exactly the kind of language Georgian drawing rooms preferred to pretend didn't exist: sexual references, violence, oaths, and moments of raw human ugliness. So Bowdler didn't stop reading Shakespeare. He decided to rewrite him instead. What's fascinating isn't that Bowdler edited Shakespeare. Many editors have done that. It's that he believed removing uncomfortable ideas would actually preserve Shakespeare's greatness. History reached a very different conclusion. In 1807, working alongside his sister Henrietta, who historians increasingly believe did much of the actual editing herself, though the credit went to Thomas, Bowdler published The Family Shakespeare. It contained the plays almost everyone recognized, with one key difference. Anything considered indecent had simply been removed. Suicidal despair was softened, sexual jokes vanished. Even entire scenes were cut if they made polite society uncomfortable. The introduction to the collection made the intention clear. This was Shakespeare made safe. Shakespeare a father could read to his children without a single blush. For years, it worked exactly as intended. Families across England adopted the Family Shakespeare as the acceptable version, cleaner, quieter, and considerably less Shakespeare than the original plays ever were. Ironically, many of the passages Bowdler removed are exactly the scenes literature students analyze today. The very moments he considered dangerous are often regarded as Shakespeare's greatest demonstrations of human complexity. The book sold well. Editions kept appearing throughout the 19th century, but over time, something shifted. Critics and writers began mocking the entire project, not for having bad intentions, but for what it revealed about a society terrified of its own literature. Somewhere in that mockery, a new word began to take shape: Bowdlerize. To Bowdlerize something meant to strip it of anything offensive, to sanitize it into blandness, often at the cost of what made it powerful in the first place. Language has a strange way of delivering its own verdict. Bowdler wanted to protect literature, but the English language ultimately remembered him for limiting it. It's a rare thing in history, a man's name surviving not because of what he preserved, but because of what he cut away. Bowdler's story raises a question that never really goes away. Every generation decides, in its own way, what art should be allowed to say, and what needs to be softened for the public's comfort. Bowdler believed he was protecting Shakespeare's legacy. Instead, his name became the exact opposite, a warning, not a compliment, aimed at anyone who tries to sand the rough edges off a work of art. 2 centuries later, we still argue about which stories are too much for which audiences. We've just changed the word we use for it. If a single edited book could turn a man's name into a permanent verb, imagine what today's edits might be remembered as centuries from now. Subscribe, because next week we're uncovering another name history turned into something its owner never intended.
What strikes me about Bowdler is that He genuinely thought he was doing something good, protecting his family, protecting Shakespeare's reputation, and instead, his name became a punchline for censorship. Whether you agree with Bowdler or not probably depends on where you think the line between protection and censorship should be. That debate never really ended, it simply changed platforms. If this one made you think, drop a comment and let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.